That's literally all it was.
I've got no Pepsi Max. I'm having to drink coffee. Can you believe that?
What's that all about? This might sound might sound like I'm joking.
It certainly does.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.
Manchester, brace yourself. Rangers are coming!
Hi everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Are You Ready podcast. As ever, I'm your host Derek, and with me is my co-host Dave. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm well, Derek. How's yourself?
I'm not bad, and I'm just glad we've got Rangers back playing, haven't we?
Exactly. We've actually got football, proper football. Well, saying proper football, we've got football to talk about, haven't we? And at least we can say it with a smile on our face as well when we're talking about it.
Aye, we've even got a trophy in the cabinet already in 2020.
I know. Thank God for that.
Yes.
We've waited a long time for that.
Fuck Lyon, fuck Nice. We're going to beat Leverkusen and we're going to win the treble as well, domestic treble. So that they're the quintuple this year we're getting.
I don't know what you've got mixed in your Pepsi Max, Derek, but there you go.
Certainly no alcohol tonight, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yes, we've got, obviously, just briefly to cover the games over in Lyon, and we've got a hell of a lot of other news to cover as well. So before we go into anything, and I really don't want to kind of cover this, to be honest, but I think it would be remiss of us not to. You don't need us pontificating about racism, taking the knee, Black Lives Matter, and such like. I've got personal views on the situation, and it will stay that way, personal, just in the same way as I don't expect anyone to tell me their views. Now, sometimes I've been accused of coming off as self-righteous on Twitter, and etc., etc., and God knows... Sometimes, yes. And God knows we've all said and done things in our past that we're not particularly proud of. But the difference between me and Dave is when we say we don't say anything like that, we mean it in terms of, out in public, out in watching the football, on social media, etc., etc. And in terms of the point I'm wanting to get to here is not taking the knee does not make you a racist, much in the same way that taking the knee and raising your fist does not make you a Marxist, a submissive, a Black Lives Matter supporter, a Black Power supporter, etc. What does make you an absolute prick, though, is having a go at someone for doing either of them. Our players and our club made a choice, as is their right to do so. They've shown support for their fellow players, for their teammates, and just basic, genuine human decency. That's all they were doing. And it's absolutely your right not to like that, but if that's the case, fucking deal with it. Shut the fuck up, and if you can't do that, fuck off and support another club, because there is no place for racism, firstly, at all, and secondly, certainly not in our club. Now, it's got to the stage where Goldson, Aribo, Tavernier and even Mo Edu have came out slamming some of their own support. It's an absolute disgrace that they've had to do so, and those responsible should burn anything they have with the Rangers badge on it and just fuck off, because there is no place for them whatsoever. I am absolutely disgusted and utterly ashamed. At a very minority, I will say that 99% of Rangers fans are like myself, absolutely enraged with some of our support. But I am utterly embarrassed and ashamed of that very small minority. And I know there's a few accounts out there that are fake accounts that were set up just to try and sully our name. But I've had to block a good few supposedly fellow Rangers supporters on Twitter who I've followed on Twitter for a while now, because they just come up with utter shit in regards to this. And I don't know if it's gotten through some thick skulls that the media in this country drive an agenda which is mainly against us. They'll say and they'll do anything which paints us in a bad light, whether it's the truth or not. That much has been proven over the last decade. They don't bother fact-checking, they don't bother polling, they don't bother doing proper investigation. They just see what's trending on social media and run with it. So your posts have a direct impact and a negative on the negative narrative that is getting driven against us. And some in our support just can't see that, and that makes them fucking morons. What should have been a good experience coming back from France has turned into an utter shitfest because of some of the idiots in our support. And as I said, it's a very, very small minority. And not just, I was talking about the media there. This is just on a basic human decency level in respect to basically treating everyone the same as you would expect to be treated back. It doesn't matter the colour of your skin. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter your gender or sexuality. You treat people the same as what you would expect to be treated. So if you want to be treated like an arsehole, then by all means you go ahead and do that. But I am just absolutely disgusted at some of our support in relation to that.
Well said, Derek. I agree with you 100%. I have, over the last 2 days or so, I've been looking back at everything and trying to make some sort of sense out of a lot of people, what they've been tweeting and what they've been posting and stuff like that. As I try to do, the type of person that I am, I try to look at it through both ways. And I think you got to sit spot on there, Derek. Regardless of what your beliefs are and what your views are on racism, the Black Lives Matter movement, whatever, if your views are going to harm the football club that we love, then I really don't want to hear them. I don't really want to hear anything racist at all. But when I look back at how this all started, and it was just a simple tweet by Morris Edu, I don't know if it was he sort of clapping his hands or whatever with the Rangers players taking the knee. That was him showing all of his thousands of followers all over the world in America and stuff like that, how proud he was of his former club for supporting their black players by doing this. That's the way that I see it, Derek. I don't know if you thought that as well. And the amount of comments that there was, both good and bad, were quite incredible. And, he then came out and basically said how, shocked and saddened that he was that it came to this. And I genuinely think that he was doing this to, to show people over there how proud he was of the club and what they were doing and stuff like that, which was excellent. And ever since then, it has spiralled out of control. There's been a lot of horrible things said, a lot of things like you said, Derek, that I'm ashamed of as well, that I've seen posted. And it has now came to light that, this is filtering back to players that are playing for our club, and they are really upset by it, the likes of Connor Goldson, and it's shown us all that they're reading all of this, Derek, and they're taking it in. And what must that be like for them doing that, to think, oh my God, is this what a sectioneer supporter are actually thinking when I'm doing something that I believe in and I'm not getting support here? It makes us look really, really bad, Derek. And you've said there is a very small minority, but again, you've hit the nail on the head. The press do not see it like that at all. And anybody that's been listening to us for years and years, and we've talked about the press, anything negative that comes from any of our fans, it is the whole support that get branded exactly the same. They don't care that, there's been hundreds and hundreds of people in support. They only see the ones that are not in support. And we're getting sick and tired of saying this, Derek, but things like this are affecting the club, and it is just bringing a bad light on the club altogether. And I was really quite, like yourself, embarrassed when I seen some of the comments, because as soon as I seen Morris Edu posting that, I thought, there's a guy that's really proud of his former club and what we're doing and showing support for the players, which is the way that I'm seeing it, Derek. I'm no looking at the riots and everything that's happening in America and the way it's been protesting and all that. I'm seeing it as Rangers are supporting the black players who feel very strongly about this. That's the way I'm seeing it. And this must now look really bad on Morris Edu, because he will now, reaching out to thousands of people, in America and all that, and they must be thinking, oh my God, what a fucking horrible club that is. Didn't want anything to do with them. And it has connotations, Derek, because if he's putting this out, and there are players out there, current players and young players, looking at what's happened here, players who could be potential transfer targets for us, they're not wanting to have anything to do with the club, are they? So, and I know it's only the small minority, but it's a small minority. That's the effect it's having, and it's just basically painting us a very bad light, Derek.
Yeah, I think the main issue is that they're not happy with Rangers players taking the knee and doing the fist, and they think it stands for something, and it makes you a submissive or Marxist or whatever. That's complete bullshit. And let's not get that confused, because I think I've heard a lot of people on Twitter, if you don't agree with taking the knee and all that kind of makes you a racist. No, it doesn't. That's a load of bullshit. Let's just get that out in the open at all. You might not agree with it. You might, like most of us, is abhor racism, but you just don't like that stance and that symbolism.
Gesture, okay.
That's fair enough, but don't have a go at somebody else for supporting it. That's the main issue that's coming across here, and it comes across as that you're a bigot, you're a racist as well. If you say anything.
Of course it is, and as I say, we harp on and on and on. You know, the listeners out there, the supporters, about how the media in Scotland try to portray us, and this is music to their ears. All of this is something again that they can feed off. And as I say, that's the way that I'm trying to look at it. I'm the same as yourself. Whether you agree with the stance and the gesture that these people are doing, that's regardless. But if our players feel strongly about it and they're looking for support from the club and for their fellow players, then they've done that to show them their support. That's the way that I'm looking at this, Derek. Personally, I don't know if you're the same as me, but I think you summed it up very well with your opening statement there, Derek. It was very well put.
Well, I hope I never need to talk about this again. I hope that Rangers need that statement they released today, basically saying the same as me. If you're anyway that way inclined, fuck off, we don't want you at Ibrox. They said it a lot more politely than me, obviously, but I hope we're never having to talk about this again, because it's a disgrace that it's actually got to this. But we'll leave that there, and we will go down the tunnel and onto the park. So I don't know really how to follow that one, to be honest, but you kind of, you move on as it were. And
yes,
obviously we've got the good things to talk about, and we've got to talk about the football for a change.
Yep.
First game was against Hamilton. I can't remember what the date. I think it was last week anyway. It was versus Hamilton at Auchenhowie. Closed doors game. We won 2-1. Hamilton took the lead from a deflected shot in the box. We had an equaliser from Bassey. It was after a good cross from Kent, I think it was. And then we went 2-1 up in the late stages of the second half after a Morelos penalty. He was the one that was brought down in the box. I don't think it was a penalty, to be honest, and I think he went down quite easy. But that's what he does, isn't it?
Yep. Mm-hmm. I only saw the very brief, I don't know who it was that had posted it online, Derek. I basically saw the 2 goals, and that was it. I found it quite difficult to try and get anything, from it. I realised, at the time as it was happening, I was only going by certain things that people were posting. But as you say, it's going by the reports that I heard was exactly like what you said there. It was quite a soft penalty. The fact that they had gone behind quite early in the match, but then seemed to dominate after that, and got themselves back in with a penalty. I really don't care if it's soft or not, to be honest with you. The main thing is that they got it and they converted it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, at the end of the day, these are pre-season friendlies. They're not, the result is kind of academic. It's all about getting players game time, getting fitness levels up, getting a wee bit match experience as well. So I used to do my dinger about performances and results. It's in pre-season. I've kind of matured enough to realise it's not really about that anymore. So, but then the glamour friendlies, as it were, it was just last week there as well. The first game was Thursday, the 16th of July, away to Lyon, and we won 2-0. Now, it was a wee mini tournament. It was us, Lyon, Nice, and them across the other side of the city, and we started off in style by going private jet as well.
Yes, I know. The usual tweets of, where are they getting the money for that? Where are they getting the money for that?
And did you see the embroidered headrests as well with the new Rangers crest?
Very nice, very impressive. That's something that we'll be speaking about later on, Derek, but no, I didn't see that, yep.
Yep. So, as I said, we won 2-0. The first goal was an OG, even though Hadji was claiming it. It was a great drive and run on the right-hand side by Kent for the goal initially, though, which was brilliant to see. He just drove with the ball towards the goal. Yep. He got the pass off. I don't know what happened as he hit the cross in towards goal. It went under a couple of legs, hit off the leg of one of the Lyon defenders and into the back of the net. And Hadji, who must have been a good few metres away from it, ran away celebrating as if he had scored. So it was.
kind of in the mix there, Derek. I'm going to give him his. I'm going to say that, you know, if it hadn't went in off the defender, he was just there for the tapping, regardless. So, but no, as you say, great play by Ryan Kent. It was because in the first sort of few minutes of the matches, Derek, I was like, well, we did look a wee bit shaky the sort of first sort of 3 or 4 minutes, and then after that, you know, I just thought that we were completely in control. Now, I know I'm not getting carried away, and we're not getting carried away here. It is just a friendly and stuff like that. But at the same time, it is away in France. It is against Lyon in their stadium. There were some fans there cheering them on. So, you know, I would like to think that they would have wanted to have won the game themselves. So that's why I was pleased about the performance, because I say up until we scored the goal, we were just, you know, we were starting to dominate, and that was just the perfect time for us to get the goal. And as you say, brilliant play by Ryan Kent, driving the byline into the goal, puts a good cross in, and then it ends up the back of the net. That's what you're looking for a winger to do, and it was a great start for us.
Yep. It was the first game in a long time where I've actually watched the game and not been taking notes at all, because I never get a break when I'm watching football, but when it comes to us, because I'm always writing notes for the podcast reviews and stuff. So I can't remember what time it was. I think it was into the second half, but Kent ended up getting himself sent off, didn't he?
Yeah, it was actually, I believe it was the first half, Derek, around about the 40th minute.
Oh, well.
39th minute, sent off, quite a bad reaction to a late challenge on him, and it was a bad tackle, Derek. It was a very late challenge on him, but he saw red both mentally and physically, and unfortunately got sent off. You know, we were hoping he would have kept his cool. We were maybe hoping that the referee might have been a wee bit more lenient, but it was a bad reaction from him, and if it had been, you know, a league game, you know, it would have been off, because as we know, our players get sent off for a hell of a lot less than what that was. So it was a red card, to be fair, and that's when I thought, oh well, here's just hoping they get through at half time and they don't concede, and then, you know, it might just be the matter of working on their defence in the second half. But you know, they kept plugging away and kept playing really well.
Yeah, just going back to the Kent issue there, is it's not the first time he's done that, because he lashed out against Scott Brown for a Glasgow Derby game last year. It was the complete daftest thing ever. It was right in front of the referee. The guy, the Lyon player, patted him on the back of the head. It looked more of a playful manner, to be honest, than anything, and Kent got up and he slapped him at the face. So it was really stupid, and by the letter of the law, it was a red every day of the week, and I don't know why some fans were complaining and saying it was soft. It doesn't matter. He raised his hands. And the ref could have dealt with it better, as what normally happens in friendlies. He could have said, right, could have said to the manager, get him off now, otherwise I'm going to send him off.
Well, that's kind of what I was hoping for, Derek, because these things we have seen it happen, you know, especially in friendlies. It's a whole thing, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, I mean, ultimately, he could have had a ban for the start of your domestic campaign. However, fortunately, the French FA never reported it to the SFA. So,
to their great dismay, Derek, I'm sure.
Operation Stop the Tens in the pre-season already. Sorry, Operation Stop the 9 3/4.
Exactly. I was a bit taken, correct you there, aye. So
yeah. So into the second half, though, Hadji was playing great, and he ended up getting the second goal after the deflected shot in the box. It was backs to the wall for a good bit after the sending off. Barker came on and looked absolutely brilliant. Jones had a good chance towards the end, but put it wide. And then Barker came off injured. I think it was around about the 75th minute, and we'd used all our subs by that point, so we played the rest of the game with 9 men. So we're quite used to it, after UEFA last year as well. So.
Exactly, and the good thing for us, Derek, when all that happened, that was when Lyon brought on their so-called big guns off the subs bench. They brought on Dembele and they brought on Memphis Depay up front. So two, strikers who, are their sort of main strike force. They brought them on, and by that point, what I was most pleased about was that Steven Gerrard had brought on a number of our youth players, especially in defence, and they were absolutely fantastic. They took care of everything. Anything I know it was quite late on when Dembele came on, but you'd have thought with his background he would have been desperate to go on the score sheet or, do something. And they took charge of him, absolutely, tremendously well. And I think that's what I was most happy about there, because you can say what you want. He's a good player, and Depay as well, proven international player. So I was just pleased the way that the youngsters had played, but really good. I know that you want to take notes. It was very difficult to try and keep up with all the subs and everything that were coming off and on, Derek, because at one point I think we made maybe 5 subs at the one time. So I mean, it was almost a completely different team that finished the game as that started the game. So it was quite hard to keep note of who was off and who was on and stuff like that. So for that point as well, for players coming into the game maybe halfway through the second half or no long to go, it was good. Brendan Barker looked really good, but unfortunately got injured and had to go off.
Yeah, that's just typical Rangers luck, isn't it? So. But anyway, Celtic drew their first game earlier on. They drew 1 each. So ultimately it left us going into Saturday night's game just needing to draw, I think it was, and we would have won, I think, or it depended on the other result. But we came away 2-0 winners as well, which was great. And we won the Veolia trophy, I think it's called, and it's a cracking looking trophy. I never watched the game myself, but I did see the goals. Defoe, I turned it on for literally a couple of minutes, and then just before half time Defoe scored. It was an incisive breakaway, really composed finish, and Barjonas, I think he came on in the second half, I think, and right at the death he had another composed finish. It was a great finish from the left hand side as well.
I watched the whole game, Derek. Played at a slightly slower pace than the first game. This was more like a pre-season friendly. This match, Nice, again though, very decent professional team. But again, I would say that we dominated the match. We, had a fair few chances. I thought Ryan Kent looked good. I thought Hadji was excellent again until, he went off as a sub, and there were a lot of changes made, but topped off at the end with a fantastic goal right at the end of the match by Jamie Barjonas. It all came for a throw-in. It was flicked right over his head, and he basically ran right down the left wing into the box and slotted it right past the goalkeeper, into the bottom corner. It was a great finish for him, and no more than we deserved, Derek. So no, all in all, it was good to see. It was also good to see fans in the stadium. There was a tiny wee pocket of Rangers supporters in there. I don't know how they managed to get tickets for that one. And you could hear them. You could hear them all singing as well. There must have been about 25 of them, I reckon, possibly even more. But you could hear them all singing at the end, which was great to hear also. So a very worthwhile exercise, I think, Derek. We'll just have to wait and see what the extent to the injury Brandon Barker, because to be fair, he did look good when he came on in the first game. So, but no, really pleased with the way the youngsters played and the youngsters coped in the game. And for the likes of Hadji, I think he's desperate to try and settle in with a club. I think he's been with a lot of different teams now, and he's not really had much luck. And we all know that he is a quality player, and I just think that he looked our main man in both games, Derek. So looking forward to see him play. I just hope he gets played in that number 10 position. I think that's his sort of best position, playing just behind the striker. But we'll just have to wait and see there. But no, absolutely delighted, and we got the trophy as well. So here's hoping it's the first of many for Steven Gerrard.
Absolutely. As strange as it sounds, this is the type of thing that might spark the team into life and actually put some belief that they can actually go a full season. And I know it's just a pre-season friendly. I know what you can say to take out of that, but at the same time, it's experience of winning something, experience of lifting a trophy, experience of feeling that confetti over your head. It's daft things like that might just spark the team into something. Because fuck knows what happened in January after the break. We just collapsed, and it almost is like, and I think we've said it before, and you've said it before, is we almost like the chase more than the actual being in front, because in January we were in front and we contrived to give it away, and which we certainly did do so, and hopefully this will spur them on. One thing I do want to mention though is there was a lot of rumours floating about Kai Kennedy, especially, and him not signing a deal and him wanting away and being told to find a new club. So that happened in the days in the lead up to these couple of games, and the strong hints that he wanted a lot more money than was being offered. Now, no doubt he's a fantastic prospect, but we've got a structure. You don't go and break that for anyone, otherwise other youngsters will then want the same as that, and then first teamers will want even more as well. Has he had his head turned by Billy Gilmour down at Chelsea? Quite possibly, but he is one of the exceptions in this. Yes, we need to be doing more to bring our youngsters in, which is actually starting to happen. But yes, very few make it to our first team, but even fewer make it to a decent level by leaving and thinking the grass is greener in another country or down south or something like that. And this was kind of brought again to the head by Gerrard's post-match comments, where he said, I want to bring academy players in, but first and foremost, they have to commit to the club. If you don't, then you won't be seen anywhere near me. They have been good enough to train They have to be good enough to train every day like it means the world to them to play for Rangers. I've been hearing a few things about the academy and there's been a bit of an ego about, so they won't be around me. I will only play players who show me on a daily basis they are good enough to be around us. So without naming them, that kind of puts these rumours right firmly into place that, I think the rumours have been true about Kennedy.
I didn't know anything about it, Derek, to be honest with you, about what had happened with Kennedy until you had contacted me, and I looked back at it and I could see, some of the things that had been coming out in the rumours and stuff like that, and I, like you, were surmising that that's what it was all regarding as well. I don't know what the boy's situation is, Derek, when it comes to agents and stuff like that. He's obviously been told by his agent or whoever deals with him financially that he's going to be a star, he's going to be this, he's going to be that, and he should be, possibly going down south to try and get more money and stuff like that. As you say, it's more than likely that's what's happened. He said he's head turned by something, and he now wants to see if he can make more money. But really sort of defiant message there with Steven Gerrard. If you're good enough, you'll get your chance, but you have to be all in. You have to be, do what he says, do what the club says, and if you're talking like that, or there's wee outbursts here and there, then they're not going to. They're not going to entertain it in any way. So, that's great to hear as well. And, by all means, we've got some fantastic young players coming through. And I do get the feeling that, if they are good enough, they will get their chance. So, just have to wait and see.
Yep. So, we've actually got games to come because the fixtures were announced. Before that, though, we've got a couple of other friendlies to go. Yep. On Wednesday, we're at home to Motherwell, and on Saturday we are at home to Coventry. So a couple of decent games there. And then we've obviously got the second leg of the Leverkusen game, and that's going to be played on Thursday the 6th, I believe. It'll be an 8 p.m. kickoff, I think. And the draw for the quarterfinals was made as well. Should we do what might be the impossible and win by 3 clear goals, and we'll be facing either Inter Milan or Getafe in the quarters. So certainly a good incentive. Leverkusen, they weren't great from what I was hearing when they restarted the league. However, I think they're about 8 or 10 games under their belt now, whereas we've really had nothing, certainly nothing competitive by that time. Well, there'll be one game. However, as I said, the Premiership fixtures were announced as well, and I've actually put them as pending because we'll get into that in a minute. But we're back on the 1st of August. We're set to play Aberdeen in the Premiership on Saturday the 1st of August, which is a 17:30 kickoff. Now, we keep getting told about these random computers that pick the fixtures, but what did we all say? Aberdeen away. That was our first game. What happened? Mm-hmm. Second year in a row it's happened. Celtic come out and want the first Glasgow Derby fixture to be as late on as possible in October. Look what happened. It unprecedentedly got the 11th game of the first round of fixtures. Mm-hmm. So I fully agree with both the fixtures. That it gives us enough time for a run-in, for a good few games under our belt before we play them. It allows a bit better chance of getting fans in the stadium, which is what we want. You want obviously Celtic will be at home, so you want your TV fixture in the first game of the season to be a bit glamorous. You've got the Rangers Aberdeen. I fully agree with that. But it's the pretense that they say it's a random fixture generator computer that makes it. We're adults here. We don't need to be lied to like that. Just tell us that's what we want to happen and we'll be fine with it, because at the end of the day, you still need to play all the teams 38 times or however many times it is before the split. So, you've still got to play these teams to be top of the league at the end of the day. So it makes no odds to me.
Yep, no, exactly. And as I say, if we get off to a good start, Derek, that's a potentially tricky tie for us, out the way straight away. So that's how, I like to see us getting good standard to opposition in our pre-season games, before we go to the likes of Aberdeen, because we know that it will be a tricky match, as it always is. So bring it on, but I'm sure as you're about to get into it, might not be as simple as these games getting played at that time with everything else that's going on.
Yeah, just by the way, our first home fixture is Sunday the 9th of August at home to St Mirren. That's a 3 p.m. kickoff. It was meant to be on the Saturday the 8th, however it got moved because obviously we are playing against Leverkusen. But as we alluded to there, the whole thing is an absolute farce. First of all, the SPFL Secretary Ian Blair has warned of a fixture chaos and the worst in 22 years, as depending on how well teams do in the Cups, and they may have 4 games in 8 days. Well, it's good to see that they completely forgot about our run in 2008,
yep.
when we had even worse than that.
Yep.
And no other clubs were greeting about that, were they?
Definitely not.
But anyway, it might be academic because the SPFL, they had their court ruling with Hearts and Partick Thistle. Now, I think the reporting on this has been absolutely shocking, to be honest. For the general fans, I don't think were fully aware of what the initial court Hearts and Partick were taking the SPFL to court for. It was basically just to decide on what course of action does their litigation get heard by the courts, or does it get heard by arbitration. And it wasn't a case of who won or whatever. It was just a case of what's happening. So the courts ruled that it's to be heard by SFA arbitration. However, the judge did state that the SPFL and the SFA are to hand over and open up all documents and evidence in relating to votes and all that kind of thing. So the first hearing was apparently today. The people who seem to be in the know say it's going to run for a good few days, if not into next week. It's unclear how things will go, depending on which way. We don't know should the SPFL lose this and Hearts and Partick get reinstated into the leagues, is there going to be appeals by the SPFL and SFA? Are Dundee United and Raith Rovers and all that going to appeal it as well? Will it affect Celtic? Does that mean they get their title stripped or their titties stripped? Hearts have also warned that they've got the right to issue an injunction to stop the league even starting, to take more legal action. So who knows actually what's actually going to transpire with this? We're now less than 2 weeks away for the season starting, and we're still none the wiser. All the other leagues in Europe have finished, or they've continued on, and they're either still playing or they've legally decided they're champions by playing the game. It just shows you how much of an absolute farce Scottish football is.
I think the great examples of things that have been happening, Derek, and was what happened with us. Now I realise it's different. But if you look at La Liga, when if their season had finished like it did in Scotland, then Barcelona would have been top. And lo and behold, they've played the rest of their games, and Real Madrid have clawed that back, and they've just been crowned champions. You look at in England, Manchester United were nowhere near a Champions League spot before the leagues got finished. If that league had have been stopped, then Manchester United wouldn't have had any chance of getting a Champions League place, but they've managed to get the 11 points that they required to get themselves into a position where they could get the Champions League place. And this is where it's all a complete farce, because I was sick and tired of hearing people saying, oh well, Celtic were that far ahead, you had absolutely no chance. Who's to say what would have happened, Derek? Who's to say that would have came back in the last few weeks if they'd have done what happened in England and Rangers had been firing on all cylinders, and they hadn't? You honestly don't know. And that's where I think there's been a lot of cases like that where it's happened, where clubs have played a hell of a lot better when they've came out these matches and have done really, really well, especially down in England, and they've managed to get themselves in great positions in the league. So this is where, to me, it's all a complete farce. And then with the fact that Scottish Cup ties still have to be played for last season as well, just shows you how much an absolute sham the whole thing was.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest laugh in this is Dundee United, Wraith Rovers and Cove have a big legal bill fighting this, and they've tried a crowdfunding thing, and then they've asked all the other SPFL clubs for a donation. 5k for the Premiership teams, 2k for the Championship teams, and 1k from League 1 and 2. Falkirk came out and basically said, get to fuck.
Aye.
And the bottom line is, they don't actually need to fight this, because the actual case between is Hearts, Partick and the SPFL. And so regardless of the way it turns out with that, they don't really have a case to answer, Dundee United, Wraith and Cove. And what's even more ironic about it is they're talking about, well, it's not sporting integrity if we don't get promoted after. Well, turn that round. It's no sporting integrity that Hearts and Partick are getting relegated, especially Partick. Now, we know there's no love lost between us and them, but it's an absolute farce what's happened to them with a game in hand still to play. They're only a point behind or 2 points behind, so that theoretically if they could play that game, they they wouldn't be getting relegated. But actually scrap that, because the biggest laugh is that the SFA, who are governing this arbitration, have issued Hearts and Partick with a charge for taking the SPFL to court, despite both clubs being well within their rights to do so.
Exactly.
I mean, come on to fuck. I mean, that's just basically once again bully boy tactics.
And to what end, Derek? Because if sporting integrity was the main aim here, then surely there would be absolutely no qualms and nothing said with them putting in this, legal challenge at all. So it gets me. I mean, as I say, we keep getting this sporting integrity put in front of us all, but if that was the case, they would be saying, well, they do have a right to do this, so, we'll wait and see. That's been our decision, but it might be taken out of our hands, but it's not. It's threatening tactics straight away. How dare you go against us? How dare you question us? We're going to punish you regardless, because you dare to question us, you dare to, cite, legal action, which you've just said there, quite rightly to do. It's quite incredible.
I mean, what I think is that they're doing is they're actually they're working in cahoots with the SPFL with this one, and it's, again, as I said, bully boy tactics. I think their aim is to try and, because one of the major punishments is that they could actually expel Partick and Hearts, which I don't think will ever happen, but if you just threaten them with that possibility, then they're maybe trying to get Hearts and Partick to drop this altogether, so then the leagues can start. Failing that, it's a case of, well, they can turn around, and if Hearts or Partick decide that no, they're going to take this further and they issue this injunction to try or go for this injunction which delays the league, the SFA and the SPFL can turn around to all the other clubs and say, see, it's not us, it's them two that's causing your financial hardship now. Mm-hmm. Which has been their case all along. It's bullshit, because if they just dealt with it properly in the first place, they wouldn't be in this issue.
Exactly, yep.
And all while this is going on, is the government in Scotland 2 weeks behind, mind you, once again. They announced that full contact training can resume on the 29th of June, and then shortly after that, full games can be played behind closed doors. So it's a fucking farce all around.
Exactly, yep.
And anonymous friend of the businessman, Heart supporter, SPFL benefactor, has donated 625k to the SPFL Trust for club charities and pledged the same again for June 2021. So there's no money in football unless you are in really English Premiership or one of the other big leagues in Europe. So I'm very wary of this Hearts supporter and this other businessman friend of him that is pledging money to the SPFL. What do they get out of it? I really don't understand that, and I'm very wary of this. They're maybe full and good intent, but there just something doesn't add up here. Yeah,
you very rarely do you find acts of such generosity, Derek, where there isn't something in return. Let's be perfectly honest. I mean, would you, in your right mind at this moment in time, donate that amount of money to Scottish football, where everything that had been out, if you were a Hearts supporter especially, would you be quite willing to fire that amount of money, just as a gesture of goodwill? I don't think so, and I don't know many people out there that would. So there has to be something else involved in this. There's got to be some other reason this is happening. I know that we're just, surmising at this moment in time, but I'm like you. There's something just no right there, or something very fishy going on. as Blackadder would say. So we'll just have to wait and see what comes of that. But I'm as suspicious as you are.
Yep. So that kind of wraps up the madness of the SPFL news. So we'll now go into the classic match.
And there it is. The final whistle's gone. Rangers have won the European Cup Winners' Cup.
Dave, what have you got for us this time?
I have a game which took place in 1998. Derek, it was Dick Advocaat's first season in charge of Rangers. Saw a lot of changes to the Rangers team and a lot of changes to ex-players who we idolised, that were our heroes, because in this game Rangers travelled to Rugby Park to take on Kilmarnock, who had their new striker on show for them in the name of Mr. Anik McCoist, who was playing against us in this match. So strange surroundings for him, and strange for the Rangers support as well, seeing him playing against us. Obviously Dick Advocaat came in, a lot of new players playing for Rangers, a lot of fantastic players playing for Rangers, it has to be said. The Rangers team on that day, Lionel Charbonnier in goal, Perrine Amoruso, Arthur Newman, Barry Ferguson, Andre Kanchelskis, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, Gabriel Amato, George Alberts, Rod Wallace and Craig Moore. On the bench for Rangers, we had Barry Ferguson, Charlie Miller and Reno Gattuso, just the three subs back then. Rangers, like I said, Dick Advocaat in charge, Kilmarnock, Bobby Williamson in charge of the Kilmarnock team on that day, Marshall, McPherson, Kerr, McGowan, Holt, Wright, Ian Durrant, Mitchell, Ali McCoy, Stefan Varai and Loughlin up front. So Rangers really started the game off very, very well. Very high tempo, as we were all expecting from the Dick Advocaat's team back then. And we created the first chance on the 9th minute, and we really should have scored. It was a fantastic ball in from Ferguson into the box. Rod Wallace with a snapshot, which was just wide of the post. The Rod Wallace actually had a lot more time on his hand to score that one. If he'd attained a touch, he would have had a much better chance to score, but really unlucky there, but really should have scored. Then on the 13th minute, George Alberts balled down the left wing to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, who put in a fantastic cross into the box, and a spectacular snapshot by Gabriel Amato, a sort of overhead kick, turn, half volley, which is just wide. Absolutely fantastic play by Rangers, really whetted the appetite there for some goals. On the 18th minute, Amato wins the ball on the halfway line. He plays a great through ball to Rod Wallace. He races through, he hits the ball at the edge of the box, just over the bar, and great play there again, and showing you the work rate of Amato as well. And then on the 25th minute, Rangers took the lead.
As I said, Charbonnier is going to be very largely a spectator in most of these games. He'll simply have to get used to that. Amato, Wallace, Van Bronckhorst going through again to Wallace, to Van Bronckhorst. He's going to try it himself, and he does. There's Wallace, he's done it. His third domestic goal. They're happy with that. The little man, as I said, raids the box with the same predatory instinct as Anik McCoist. Look at the position he takes up for any mistake by the goalkeeper, which came right on cue. He snaps it up, and Rangers are 1-up.
It was a goal kick which was fired up. It was actually headed from Amato on to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, who then played a short pass to Rod Wallace, a 1-2 back to Van Bronckhorst, who races into the box and hits a fantastic shot. Great initial save by Gordon Marshall, but straight out to Rod Wallace, who lashes the ball in at close range to make it 1-0 to Rangers. A great start for us. We had been by far the better team. Kilmarnock really camped out in their own half. And then not long after that, just a couple of minutes after that, Rangers were actually awarded a penalty.
Very good tight control, but too many players. He's not giving up. Here's Ferguson. Into Wallace again. And it's a penalty. Well, I really have to say, I would give a penalty for that in a game of 5-year-olds playing in a school playground. But he did go across his body. So, having watched that replay again. I think the referee got it exactly right. So I think we'll forget the playground analogy. It was a penalty. And in it goes, Alberts. He's on a run just now. A couple of goals in midweek. And now with that powerful left foot of his, slashing it away at Rangers and are 2-up.
And it all came from great play by Gabriel Amato, who again challenges for the ball on the right wing, goes right into the defender, plays the ball down, gets it back to Barry Ferguson, who plays a fantastic through ball to Rod Wallace, and he's just completely scythed down in the box by Loughlin. Clear-cut penalties you can get. Didn't make any effort at all to get the ball, went straight for the man, and it was a penalty to Rangers. And who else but George Alberts? He stepped up on the 28th minute and hammered the ball past Gordon Marshall into the net to make it 2-0 to Rangers. And then for the whole of the rest of the first half, it was all Rangers. Charbonnier, a complete spectator in this game. 37th minute, George Alberts to Van Bronckhorst, who crosses it in, headed by Amato this time. Low, going down, but a very good save by Marshall to keep it out, to still keep the score at 2-0 to Rangers. The game then went to half-time. Rangers well on the ascendancy there, by far the better team. Into the second half, it was Barry Ferguson that was running the show for Rangers in midfield. He was picking everything up in midfield. But early on in the second half, Kilmarnock actually pulled a goal back.
And Amoruso gets it back. Can it go in? It's in. They pulled one back. All right. As that Rangers defence, looking, I must say, in several minds, hesitant, and indecision brought this. Amoruso deferred from tackling. Watch him, he hesitates, and then he eventually got it back. And Charbonnier, I must say, looked at Paul. They're not picking that one up. And Kilmarnock pulled one back.
Amoruso and Charbonnier looking a bit lackadaisical, and a poor tackle by Lorenzo Amoruso, and then it was picked up by the Kilmarnock player, hits a shot, but it was allowing Paul Wright, after the save by Charbonnier, to prod the ball into the net, a bit like the goal by Rod Wallace. So poor defending by Amoruso. He did look a bit lackadaisical at that point, looked a bit more relaxed than he should have been, and Kilmarnock, did that find the net then. But then Kilmarnock actually down to 10 men as Loughlin, who really I think should have been sent off for when he brought Wallace down for the penalty. He actually gets his second yellow card for bringing down Van Bronckhorst at the edge of the box. So red card for him. And that free kick that we were awarded for that, it was about to be taken by George Alberts, but Big Amoruso steps up just in front of him and fires the ball over the bar, well over, and you could see how annoyed George Alberts was with him for doing that, because it was looking clear that George Alberts was going to try and hit it, certainly from his range, but it wasn't to be. Gabriel Amato then comes off. He had a very good game for Rangers, really hard working up front. Charlie Miller came on for him, and then a great chance not long after that for Rod Wallace. He was put clear through one-on-one by Charlie Miller, one of his first touches, but a heavy touch at the last minute allowed the on-rushing Marshall to make the save at the edge of the box. Kelly then trying to get back into the game, trying to find an equaliser, but Big Amo making amends with a fantastic clearing header at the back post from a cross, straight out to Barry Ferguson, onto Andre Kanchelskis on the right wing, so straight upfield, races into the box with a low cross, but it was saved by Marshall. But then right at the end of the game, we got the points and put the game to bed.
There's the race forward again. Kanchelskis got the pace. Wallace is inside him. Can he put it over to Wallace? It's too near the goalkeeper. Then it's in. Charlie Miller. All credit to Miller for following up. That ball was intended for Wallace. Here's the break. Wallace inside here. I don't think he was ever going to get it, but Miller, presence of mind to keep going, and that settles it 3-1.
Barry Ferguson on the 88th minute with a high ball again to Andre Kanchelskis in the right wing. He runs down, puts a cross into the box for Rod Wallace. It was saved by Marshall, puts it out only as far as Charlie Miller, who watched the ball the whole way and lashed it past him into the goal to make it 3-1 to Rangers. An excellent start to the season for us, a very successful season that was for us as well. Some great players on show, so again, if you get the chance, please go back and watch it, because it was very enjoyable watching the game. So you remember much about that one, Derek?
No, really, to be honest, no. You know what I'm like, but it's just weird to see Ali McCoist in a strip that isn't ours, so...
Exactly. Thankfully, he never really did much against us in this game to put any sort of spoilers on the match and the scoreline, because we really did play well in the match. And as I say, if it wasn't for some sort of lackadaisical defending by Amoruso, I think it could have been a lot more, or at least had a clean sheet. But very enjoyable to watch the game as always. And I will have another one for us the next time we record. So there you go.
Fantastic. So we'll go now into the news. So, got to start off with a wee bit of sad news that former player Scott Nisbet has been diagnosed with cancer. He's set for life-saving surgery. It's the same surgery that his sister had 5 years ago, and she sadly died when she was getting the surgery. So obviously wishing him all the best, and
definitely, yes,
him and his family. We'll never forget that goal he scored against Bruges.
Exactly. Yeah. No, as I'll love, with every Rangers fan that we're about and remember that game. It'll certainly live with me. That was genuinely, Derek, when he scored that goal, I firmly believed that we were going to go on and win the Champions League that season. I thought to myself, this is definitely us. There's no way on earth that a goal like that would go into the net if it didn't mean something. And I remember saying that to a lot of my friends, we're going on to win this. So I just had the belief. And unfortunately, we know how that all went. But absolutely great memories, and we wish him all the best. Everybody will be praying for him. Everybody will be hoping he makes a full recovery here. So just keep fighting, Scott, and we're all thinking about you.
Yep. So as part of our new digital strategy, as we mentioned earlier before, we've rolled out a new club crest. Kind of came from out of nowhere, to be honest. It's really a different font. They've moved the words around so that Rangers is at the top. More aggressive line, no inner circle around the ball, and they've moved the ready word inside the ball as well.
Yep.
Quite subtle. I didn't like it at first, but it's growing. They did state it makes it better for online platforms.
Yep.
And strangely, a Celtic fan did state that we had to change it for trademark issues with Mike Ashley. See, to be honest, it's not the daftest thing I've ever heard from them, being honest with that one, but I think it's been fully down to the whole digital strategy thing. We've got a new team in doing all that kind of thing, which we'll get onto as well. So what's your opinion on it, Dave?
Derek, I actually really like it. I think, when it first came out, you sort of text me to say, I'm not keen about that, and I'm no, but as soon as I saw it, I thought, it does stand out a lot more. The line does stand out, the letter and the way that it's positioned and all of that. I genuinely do like it. I don't have any issues with it whatsoever. And, we've really got to go by what the club are telling us, the reasons that it's been done. So, bring it on. If it's, we're looking to the future, there's going to be a lot of new projects that we're hearing about. And, if that's going to be the new crest, then, fantastic. It's, it's certainly something that I thought was really smart. I know there's maybe a lot of traditionalists out there are not happy about it and stuff, but, you do have to move with the times, and it's not that much of a difference, Derek, that it's really, if you look at a club like Juventus, what they did with their badge, mm-hmm. That's completely different. I know there was obviously different reasons why they did that, but it's not a complete change. You still instantly recognise that it's a Rangers logo, just with some slight differences. But no, I think it stands out well, and that's I'm quite pleased with it.
Yeah. Now, this might sound daft, but if you remember last year, we were beaming images onto the front of the Bill Shoe stand, and nothing ever came of it. They done it late at night, and people got videos and pictures of it. Now, as part of the promotion to publicise the new crest, as it was beamed onto famous landmarks around Glasgow. So I'm not actually sure if we actually done that or if it was photoshopped, because I'm pretty sure if we were doing that for real at all of these places, it would have been leaked by a passerby long before then. So
Possibly.
I'm not sure if it was photoshopped or not.
It certainly looked good though, Derek. I actually thought that it was, very, professionally done. I loved the Alfredo Morelos stuff. I thought that was absolutely brilliant, and I know that would have annoyed a lot of people seeing that as well, from other teams. But the way that it was done, landmarks throughout Glasgow, famous landmarks, and having these various pictures projected onto it, I thought it looked really, really smart, really well done, and a great idea. Whoever came up with it is, it's been a fantastic idea, in my opinion, anyway.
Yep, and obviously they're like their fans because they have no original ideas as well. Celtic done a similar thing around Glasgow and put a wee slogan, 1 decade in the making, 1007. I don't know what it's meant to mean, but absolutely pathetic from them. They have no original ideas whatsoever. So on the back of that as well, continuing on with our new digital strategy, we've launched our new website, which looks brilliant, looks clean, looks modern, gives us that edge as well. And apparently it's not been updated since for about 13 years, I think. So certainly much needed, and it's good to see.
Yeah, definitely moving with the times, Derek. And as I say, things are looking, quite exciting, especially with a lot of the other things I've been hearing that are, potentially going to be happening in the future. So, great stuff.
Yep, and Dave, a moment we were finally waiting for so long is that Castore has finally launched the new home kit.
Yes.
It was a cracking reveal and promo video, really, really good and kind of spine-tingling video. The top looks great. It was £60. Initial of 50,000 tops on pre-order, all sold out within, I think it was a day and a half. Goes on general sale on the 1st of August. However, that didn't stop Fat Mike and Sports Direct shit-stirring, as the next day Sports Direct put on their Facebook page, and I'm paraphrasing with this here, but basically they were claiming that they were the exclusive rights as sales partner.
Yep.
So as we expected, that sent Rangers Twitter absolutely daft. A fair few frillies were in a bunch that night. Rangers clarified it with a great statement later on, not even mentioning Sports Direct, that the deal between us and Castore is just that. It's a deal between us and Castore only, exclusively. Castore have reserved the right, like every other company, like we've done in the past, to sell a limited amount to other retailers, like Sports Direct, like Greaves, like Joe Blogs, like Harrods, if you will. And I can understand the reasons why people were sceptical about it, but the club and Castore co-owner have came out and publicly stated several times that there are absolutely no links to Sports Direct whatsoever, and there'll not be. So you really have to start trusting them. And I understand why people were sceptical, but you really start having to trust them in this one. And even if Sports Direct were involved, and well, obviously they are getting a certain amount of strips, we still ultimately get our £3 million plus per year from Castore. And if Sports Direct buy them, we still make money because we because they're selling them directly. They're effectively the retailer in this point. Yep. So fans ultimately just need to be aware of what shops Fat Mike owns, Debenhams, Fraser's, etc. Do not buy it from anywhere else other than the official Rangers stores. And I did notice that several people were saying that the Elite Rangers website, I think it's MyGers store, I think it's called, website, we had a waiting list on it when these kits got launched. They are nothing to do with us whatsoever now. I don't even think the retail store in St Enoch Centre area is even anything to do with us anymore. So buy direct from Castore, buy direct from Rangers when the shop opens up again. Yeah, that's all we can say.
Yep, definitely, Derek. No, can I be a wee bit controversial, Derek?
It's not like you.
I'm not that keen on the strip. I think it's very similar to last year's. And I know folk will say, well, of course it's fucking similar. It's got to be royal blue and blah, blah, blah. There was so many mock-up strips done, as you would expect, that we've saw over the last few months. And there were a couple going about that I thought, I really hope that's what it looks like, or it's something similar to that. I don't know if it's the the way that the sponsor looks now, Derek. I don't know, but I don't think there's enough of a change there from the Hummel strip that would make me say, oh, that's a cracker, I'm going to have to buy that for my son or whatever, because I think it is very, very similar to the one that we had last year. There's a couple of extra wee flashes of red and white, but no anything that would make me go out and say, oh, it's a cracker, it's a classic, it's whatever. So, it's just me. It's not that I wouldn't, if I was younger, go out and buy it. I would. I'm an old man now, so I don't buy the kits or anything like that. But I'm hoping that a lot of the training stuff comes out, because the training stuff that I've seen the players wearing looks absolutely cracking, and I would definitely buy myself a sweatshirt or like a tracky top or something like that, because they all look absolutely cracking. So I hope that all comes out for sale soon. But I'm not feeling the strip that much. But here's hoping it's going to be a winning strip, Derek, and I'll end up having to buy one at the end of the season because we've done something spectacular. Do you know what I mean? So, but I'm not overly enamoured with it, shall we say. I don't think it's anything too different or too, new or anything like that. But, I'm just pleased that it finally looks as if we are going in the right direction with the strips, doesn't it?
It's going to be interesting come the game against Leverkusen. Will we be wearing that top, or will we have to wear last season's top?
That's a good shout. I'd like to think it'll be the new strip that we're wearing, Derek. Yeah. So I was just I'm also looking there that there's been a lot of talk about sort of Leverkusen star player Havertz attracting a lot of attention. I just hope and pray that he's sold and gone before we play them, but I don't know if that's allowed or no, or they have to wait until these games are finished. I don't know, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, in relation to the strip as well, it was good to see that the site handled it perfectly. As we know that Castore are an online retailer, so their capabilities were well there for it. The only hitch was that MyGers members thought that we're going to get access first to it, which I don't think was ever the case. Contrast this with Adidas, with Celtic's new top manufacturers. Their site crashed when it went on sale. So, there's everybody wanting this big brand name who wouldn't pay attention to us at all. We were just another name, and we would make them peanuts compared with some of the other big clubs. But certainly, I think we've got a good deal there. They have also previewed, I think, the White Keeper kit as well, which it looks absolutely cracking. It's got red piping on the
That's
shoulders.
Nice, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. No details of the away kit or the third kit yet, but the Castore co-owner, Tom, is it Behon, I think his name was, has said that the away top is completely different to any of the fan-made ones that's been put out online anyway. So we'll just need to wait and see when that goes on sale.
Good stuff. Okay.
Yep. Next thing here, 42,000 season ticket renewals on deadline day. Absolutely incredible. I mean, that's just, considering we don't know when we're going to be back in the stadium yet. There's been murmurings just this last week after the deadline day passed about, potentially before October, but we don't know yet. That's just the main thing. But for 42,000 season ticket renewals is amazing. Celtic had to extend their deadline 3 times. Then they have had the cheek to claim that there's 17,000 on their waiting list. Yeah, that's
yes, I believe that.
They claim that there's 50,000 season tickets now at Parkhead. I doubt that very much, but don't give a shit about them anyway.
Nope.
Talking about MyGers, MyGers have been given the opportunity to vote on the name of the new store when it opens up at Ibrox. The options are the Rangers store, official Rangers store, Rangers retail centre, Rangers official store Ibrox, the Bears Den, or Rangers Town.
Okay. Good job, Derek.
None are good at all, I don't think. People are voting on Rangers Town as a bit of a joke, but we will end up getting stuck with that, no doubt. And of note, the New York Rangers ice hockey team at Madison Square Garden, their official store is called Rangers Town, I believe, as well. So, yeah, it's a bit shit names altogether, to be honest. I don't know what you would call it. I think the best one, ultimately, if you're going to start creating different retail outlets like there's been hinted at, you've got the official Rangers official store called Ibrox, and then you could have official Rangers store Glasgow Airport.
Yes, things like that. It's, I think we should just be keeping it simple, as the Rangers store or something like that. It should be something simple, nothing stupid. But as I say, there's a few there. The Bears Den. That's hilarious. Oh, here's hoping it's not that, for God's sake. Oh dear, right, okay.
Keeping on the theme of MyGers, the points have been totted up and members assigned tiers. So you get a gold, silver and bronze, obviously gold being the highest level. This is just going to be a new, I'm a bigger, better, more loyal supporter than you part of, isn't it?
I'm hoping it's no, Derek. I'm really, really hoping it's not the case, because then it does start a lot of infighting, doesn't it? And a lot of bragging and a lot of... because we all know guys that go to every single match, home and away, and spend a hell of a lot of money. It doesn't make you a better, or support the club any more than somebody that only gets to 1 or 2 games a season but still spends their money on the club and stuff like that. So it's I'm hoping, like you, that that's not going to be the case, but certainly that's what it's looking like to us, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as I've said, people are forgetting the main aim, which is basically to get money into the club. You get a token few things as being a member, as you normally would in these things, but ultimately, you can't moan about the club having no money for X, Y, and Z, and then moan as you're having to pay for X, Y, and Z as well. It's your choice at the end of the day. You either pay it, you don't. It's nobody's forcing you. Nobody's holding a gun to your head. Yeah, if you want to go to the away games, etc., you want to be on the season ticket waiting list. Yeah, you need to sign up for it. But that's by the by. Again, you're helping the club make money. It's
yes.
Put it in it this way. I started doing Rangers pools. It's like £1 a week or something like that. So I'm paying £52. I'm paying 240 odd quid for RTV. I don't get the chance to go to a lot of games because of my personal situation. Likewise with yourself, Dave. I do what I can. Anybody,
definitely.
Doesn't matter if it's £1. It doesn't matter if it's £1,000. If you're putting money into the club, you should be just thanked, and you're a fan at the end of the day. But anyway, a few bits and pieces of changes within the background. Peter Lovenkrands has left his coaching role to pursue new things, so certainly wish him well. He was much respected. Yep. If he's got the chance to make it in management, then that's going to be great. Yep. Kevin Thompson and Brian Gilmore have been appointed the head of the B team, basically the new name for the under-20s. Graham Murty's been appointed head of Elite Academy Development, and a few other shuffles about, as well as Gregory Vignal leaving his post as co-head of the women's team as well. And I think it was Mark Spalding and someone else was given permanent contracts as well. So, they said that they thought, as Craig Mulholland said, that's the reshuffle's done. They're happy with what they've got. Apparently, as I was reading up on it last night, is every so often people are going to shuffle about to a new position. So, the likes of, I'll take Mark Spalding for instance, he might end up going into the under-20s team, and he might go to the women's team, where you just don't know. That they'll all shuffle about every so often. So it's given both players and staff a way of progressing and getting new skills themselves, as well as allowing the players a new way of thinking, a new way of getting coached as well for each person. So it's a good idea.
Yep, definitely. Well, here's hoping that it's a complete success. I think it's they're going down a model by a lot of clubs, throughout Europe, and I'm sure that's possibly what's happening down at Liverpool as well. They're trying to have the same philosophy right the way through every team, regardless of the age group, or if it's male or female, teams that they're wanting them all to be playing the same way. With the same philosophies and stuff like that. So, at the end of the day, if you've all got coaches that are all in on the same way of playing, then, it should be good just to get some, subtle changes, from each coach as they go in to do different teams. So, certainly sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, and you look at it this way as well. If you remember the way we done things in the past, is we had, say, you had Dick Advoca in there, and you had Bert Van Lingen as his number 2, and then you had a bunch of other people like the physio and all that. They were all his people. So I know the physio stayed, did he not? But when he leaves, when the manager leaves, generally his whole team go with him. So that's not going to be an issue if his key men leave, because then you're always going to have this continual shuffle round of coaching staff as well. So they'll all have the experience of different things. So it can only be a good thing. One thing we missed out with the games, though, is that Nikola Katic was ruled out with a cruciate injury. Apparently happened 2 weeks before it was even mentioned in the press, so it shows how tight things are around Rangers just now, which is fantastic. And again, I've said before, with transfer rumours, take nothing into them at all now, because media just don't have a clue when it comes to us now. Getting back to Katic, though, certainly a big blow, because he's a good player. He came back looking absolutely solid. The reports are that it may not be for the full season he's out. However, with these injuries, you never know what players you're going to get back. That's the big worry.
And we still, I mean, we're still unsure, or I am, of what's happening with Helander. Derek, he's not figured in the first two, or the sort of first 3 games that we've had, pre-season games. So, what's happening with him? And if that's the case, it looks as if it's going to be Edmondson and Goldson as our centre-back pairing. Now, I am rather worried about that. So if anything happens to any of they two, then we really are struggling. I know we've got Ross McCrory back as well, but I think we all prefer McCrory playing as that sort of defensive midfielder rather than a centre-half. So, quite worrying, Derek. I would prefer us to have a reliable, experienced centre-half in there. Even if he's not going to be playing, at least sort of pushing for a place, which keeps everybody else on their toes. So I don't know what the manager's going. Hopefully Helander will be back soon, because we're all desperate. We've paid a lot of money for him, Derek, and he's certainly got a pedigree there. We're wanting to see him on the park. So hopefully he'll not be long until he's back playing. But certainly at this time, a wee bit worrying, I think.
Yeah, and we'll just need to see what happens. Again, it might be a good opportunity to bring some of the youngsters through and get them ingratiated with the team. But again, it's maybe a bit of a dodgy thing, first game against bloody Aberdeen, and you're chucking a youngster in. But
exactly.
Well, we'll need to wait and see. Someone clearly on Twitter, though, never got my irony about us not getting the luck of injuries and just having it just be a simple leg break. I can assure you, if you ask any physio, they will say, I'll take a leg break over a cruciate injury every single day of the week. So
definitely, yep.
Yeah. Getting on to signings now, or basically extensions. Jake Hastie has went on loan back. He's came back to us, and he's going on a season-long loan to Motherwell. Mm-hmm. So certainly a good move from him. I'm annoyed because I want to see him in our team. I think but at the same time, we've maybe got too many players in that position just now.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, but I mean, it's good because he was on fire at Motherwell. He was scoring a lot of goals, even though his natural position wasn't a striker. And ultimately, it's a case that he'll take points off other teams, which is always handy, especially against Celtic as well. Robbie Mccrory has agreed an extension till 2023. However, he's went on a season-long loan to Livingston. Mm-hmm. So a good move for him there. He was previously there.
Yep.
Matt Polster has returned to the MLS to New England Revolution for around 300k. I don't think he was given a fair try. I certainly think some of our fans hung him out to dry after his mistake against Leverkusen, after literally being on the park 30 seconds. Completely unfair to do that to him. And I'm sad to say, though, his wife was more famous than him.
Definitely, I feel quite sorry for him, Derek, because let's be honest, we all have question marks over James Tavernier, don't we? But I mean, we never really spoke about it. I thought Tav looked, rather dodgy, especially in the last game against Nice. He just didn't look in connection with any of the rest of the players. And we have had our concerns about him over the last few seasons. There's certain games he plays absolutely brilliant. There's other games he's completely posted missing. And for the fact now that we don't have, a right back, because he was a competent player to come in, Derek, he's a player that I think that we could have relied on to come in. Obviously, he wasn't going to start every game, but certainly a good player to have in there if there was any injuries, or to bring on just to sort of bolster the midfield and stuff like that. So with him now gone, it is going to have to be a young player unless he brings in another player before the start of the season. But again, question marks, maybe not as strong in our squad as what we would like to be. But again, the season's not officially started yet, and there's still plenty of time, but maybe like to see us bring in, and we still haven't answered that question about who we play on the right-hand side of midfield or on the right wing, which is something that I think we really need to address big time. And dare I say it, as Tav played, as he suffered ever since Candace left the team, has that been a big part of it? It certainly seems to me like that could possibly be what's happened as well. So I think we need another quality player on the right-hand side up front. I don't want us to be playing Hadji there. I don't want us to be playing Aribo there. I think they're much better players in the centre. So here's hoping we can bring in a quality addition to there. That's why I sit, Derek, unlike you, and watch all the transfer rumours in just to see if there's anybody that plays right wing that's going to be a quality player for us. So again, we'll just have to wait and see. But here's hoping that we get some players in anyway.
So to conclude, Brittany Polster, we will miss you.
Definitely, yes.
Next thing here is, as per every 2 years, Stuart Robertson has stepped down from the SPFL board and Lywell takes his place. Impeccable timing, isn't it? So at least, SPFL Peter can tell SFA Peter to tell Celtic Peter what to do, and he can be justified getting involved in the meetings that he shouldn't have been in this time.
Exactly, yeah. I know.
Yeah. Next thing here is we've extended our partnership with Utilita, which has now been branded on the Girls Academy shirt and all kids retail kits as well. So good to see we've still got a good partnership with them there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Last few things non-Rangers related here. Jack Anik has signed a 2-year deal with St Mirren, so we'll be playing against him this year.
Yep.
Wes Foderingham signs for Sheffield United.
Yeah, great move for him, aye.
Yeah, cracking move for him. Unclear if he's going to be number one or not, though.
I think the goalkeeper they've got on loan at the moment is all the player that they're playing as their number one is also on loan. So who knows? He could wind up being their number one keeper if things, for him go to plan. But again, Derek, we all had our concerns over Wes Foderingham. I think we all knew that he was a good goalkeeper, but we have been used to having elite goalkeepers at our club, especially over the last sort of 20, 30 years. And not being disrespectful to the guy, he's not an elite goalkeeper. He's certainly not anywhere near the standard that Alan McGregor is, or the likes of Stefan Kloss, Andy Gorham, Chris Woods, players like that. But we do wish him all the best. He came in when we were sort of rebuilding and done a no bad job for us. So, and he's got himself an absolutely fantastic move to an English Premiership club. So we just have to thank him and wish him all the best.
Yep, absolutely. And last piece of football news here I've got is Chris Sutton, Gordon Strachan and John Hartson confirmed that they're going to be hosting on Celtic TV for their closed doors games, which is fine. They're all Celtic minded, they're all former Celtic players or management. And then you've got, along with, Michael Stewart.
So it basically just sounds like BBC Sports sound commentators. I mean, Derek, let's be honest.
You should have seen the shock in my face when I heard Michael Stewart was going to be working for Celtic TV, for fuck's sake. He's not been trying for the job for the past 3 years, has he?
Well, so what happens now with his with his contract with the BBC? He surely cannot be working for them as well as working for Celtic TV.
You wouldn't like to think so, but I don't know how it works, because you remember Chris Boyd was a regular pundit for Sky Sports when he was still at Kilmarnock. I remember he was opening his mouth far too often certainly about us as well, and we were thinking that's bringing the game into disrepute. So I know it's not the same thing, but yeah, you would like to think that the BBC are not going to entertain him with that one. But you know what the BBC stance against us and pro Celtic are. So
yeah, well,
yeah. So, man has whole fish stuck in rectum after sitting on it by accident.
So we've moved from Michael Stewart to this joke, Derek. Are you trying to say there's some sort of link here?
I never said anything, that's what you said.
Oh dear. Right, when you go.
A man had to get a fish surgically removed from his rectum after he reportedly told a nurse that he accidentally sat in it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
The unnamed 30-year-old man was treated in A&E in the department in China's southern province of Guangdong. I don't think that's the first time we've come up against one of these Guangdong places that are got random arse sticky things.
I didn't get where it go with that one.
No, I don't know.
I'm not going to say anything.
The grim images of the animal and various x-rays show that regardless of the method, the fish was well and truly stuck up there. CT scans revealed that the full thing was stuck in the rectum, with the patient complaining of intense abdominal pain. Well, no shit, Sherlock. That lasted over an hour on the 5th of June.
Oh my God. It's just even... No, I didn't want to say I'm picturing how it happened or how he got But come on. Does it give us any indication the size of the fish, Derek?
It's pretty big by the look of it.
By the look of it?
There's pictures of his x-ray, yeah.
Oh my God.
A chat transcript has circulated on China's social media service Weibo. It states that the healthcare worker responded saying, "Do you think I'm an idiot?" The man had to have emergency endoscopy. The images show that the skeleton of the fish, which was a Mozambique tilapia, if you're interested, in his rectum. The report also stated that medics tried repeatedly to get the dead fish out, but it was too large. Its spiny fins had also caused the patient's large intestines to rupture, which meant surgeons were then forced to open his abdomen up.
Oh, dearie dear. Right, okay.
The fish was eventually retrieved from his bowels. To make matters even more disgusting, if that's possible, medics were reportedly gagging at the smell in the operating theatre. Shiting fish, can you imagine that?
Please don't tell me that he cooked it up for his tea later on, Derek. That would just be too much.
It's unclear if the tilapia was dead or alive at the time of insertion.
Oh my God. Derek, I've said it numerous times. I really don't want to know where you get all these stories from and what sort of sick-minded people do all the reporting on this. I really didn't want to know.
I've got another one here.
Is it the same anal-related?
Not quite, but doctors at a hospital in India were left baffled after they discovered a 2-foot-long phone charger inside a patient's bladder.
Okay. Bladder?
Bladder.
All right.
The man turned up at a hospital at the end of May complaining of abdominal pain, but nobody could have imagined the pain was caused by an entangled ball of charger cable stuck up inside his bladder. According to doctors, it must have been swallowed or inserted deliberately for sexual gratification.
Inserted where?
Exactly. He had previous, apparently. I don't want to know where he had previous.
Oh my God. Inserted phone charger cable.
The doctor said when he was going to operate on him, "I'll take the lead."
Oh, hey, boom, boom.
So on that note, that ends the podcast.
You're quite pleased with that one, eh?
That's damn right.
Okay.
That wasn't even written down, that joke. I just made that up.
Oh my God. Oh dear.
Yes.
There's one thing that I forgot to do, mate. A good friend of mine that I've known for a long time, Derek from Grangemouth, the chap by the name of Craig McCrimmon, is a good Rangers man, goes to all the games, does a lot of stuff for charity as well when it comes to Rangers. He and a few others have started up a Rangers fan page on Facebook, and I did promise that I would give him a wee shout. Now the fan page is called Fear No Foe. And he's basically going to be posting, he's going to be going through all the Rangers fan sites, podcasts, blogs, and posting, any news stories that come up or any articles that are brought up. He'll be putting on the fact, when our podcast comes out, that a new episode's out, as well as all the other sort of fan-led social media stuff out there. So give it a follow. It's on Facebook only. Certainly it looks as if he's going to have some good content on there, and we wish him all the best with that. So that's called Fear No Foe.
Fantastic. The more the better.
Yep.
And you just about sounded like Alan McInally there for a minute. My good friend of mine.
Good close personal friend, Klaus Augenthaler. Yeah.
Yes, so that wraps up the podcast for this time. As ever, if you want to check us out, you can go to our website, which is in bad need of some maintenance and updating. But you go to ireadypodcast.wordpress.com. All that's left to say is thanks for listening and goodbye.
Take care, folks. Goodbye.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.